Welcome to another Erik Wait whiskey study. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Willett Pot Still Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Comes with this really interesting bottle. It's actually based on the pot still that they have at the distillery. And it has this real long neck, a nice little wood knob on a cork. And then they seal it with a tape to probably prevent fraud, someone fraudulently filling it with another whiskey and then reselling it. So it has a very unique tape on there with their name on it. But when I first saw it, it kind of reminds me of something, Jeff Spicoli would use.
I'm so wasted!
In fact, I saw a bottle online where someone had actually done that. And then someone else repurposed the bottle after they'd emptied it, made it a lamp, which I thought looked really cool. But more important than the bottle, as attractive as it is of course the contents. But before I get into this, I'm going to share with you a little video from the producer, and then another, which will be my notes on this bourbon.
When you come onto the property, you can see what we're about. It's almost like a farm that makes whiskey. Looks like a lot, but it takes a lot to do a little. My name's Drew Coolsveen, the master distiller here at Willett Distillery. I'm 5th generation Willett. We're 100% family owned, which is very rare in the bourbon industry today. Another thing that makes us really unique is that our recipes have been unchanged since the distillery started back in 1937. And they date back even further than that. We have all their recipes, their daily logs, all their notes, and we follow those procedures day to day. We have 3 stills here. We have a column still. We have the original Willett Doubler. And then we also have a copper pot still. It's got a pretty unique shape to it. It's more in the shape of something that you would see from Scotland. And we get more fruit and lighter bodied whiskey coming off of it. Every drop that we make is precious to us. On a daily basis, our biggest batch is around 1,000 gallons. And to put that in perspective, that's a typical batch for a large distillery in barrels, not in gallons. We have 8 warehouses on site. Each one holds 5,000 to 6,000 barrels, and they're about a quarter of the size that you see at any other distillery. During the summer months, beginning in April, all the way through the end of October, the warehouse windows are open to promote air circulation. And what that does is, it allows the barrels to breathe, which builds flavor and complexity in the profile. You don't get a lot of those flavors that you used to get in bourbon anymore. And I think that's one thing that we're going to try to get as close as we can. It might slow us down, but our goals are not for the next 3 to 5 years. It's for the next generation. Our business has grown quite a bit since I've been involved in the last 10 years. It's a pretty unique business to be involved in. I get to meet a lot of great people, get to travel the world, get to make whiskey, and I love whiskey. I drink it all the time. And I love talking about it. When you walk into the distillery, with the turn of your head, you can see just about everything going on. You can connect the dots. And that's probably the most special thing to me.
Alrighty, so, when you see real fancy bourbon like this, the first thing that goes to your mind is it just a gimmick? Is it really a quality whiskey? Does the aromas and flavors live up to the appearance of the bottle? And I think it does. I really like this. It's a completely different play. It has a different profile than your typical bourbons. But before I get into this, here are my notes. Willett Pot Still Reserve Bourbon is produced in Bardstown, Kentucky by the Willett Distilling Company, which was changed to Kentucky Bourbon Distillers Limited from 1984 to 2012. Originally, it was released as a single barrel bourbon, but recent bottlings are identified on the labels as small batch bourbon, which has no legal definition. Although the company has had the word distillery or distillers in its name, and similarly uses distilling company in the various company names that it prints on labels, it did not actually operate as a distillery in the period between the early 1980s and January 2012. The company refurbished and enhanced the distillery plant and resumed distilling on January 21st, 2012 using both column still and the signature pot still distillation processes, and put new make spirit in barrels 6 days later. The whiskey is aged around 8 to 10 years, although there's no age statement on the bottle, which means they're sourcing some spirit in order to have it at that aged. And Willett Pot Still Reserve Bourbon is bottled at 94 proof or 47% alcohol by volume. So when I bought this bottle, I was a little concerned that it was just a gimmick, that it was just a showy thing, but I actually found I really, really liked it. It's not a big, bold, sort of in-your-face bourbon, but what it does deliver is unique. It has this real unique honey note. And it reminds me of honey graham crackers or honey graham cracker cereal. I can't think of another bourbon that has had that sort of intense of a honey note. I've had some scotches that were like that, but I haven't had a bourbon with that sort of sweet honey note. And then the rest of it is sort of lighter versions of your typical bourbon. There's a sweet corn, a sweet caramel corn, like apples, cinnamon, baking spices, nutmeg, some light vanilla, a little bit of toffee. All right, on the palate. On the palate, the nose is confirmed. You get the light honey notes mixed in with some little caramel, a little bit of toffee, definitely some vanilla, some cinnamon, cardamom, and baking spices. But the intensity of the flavors are medium. If I was tasting this blind, I might actually think this was a lower ABV. I might actually think, it was around 80 proof or 40 ABV, because the intensity of the flavors is that low. I would like the flavors. I like the profile because the profile is unique. The notes are unique. What I want is to turn up the volume, to make it a little more oomph. I don't mean alcohol, I mean intensity of flavor. I don't mean burn or warmth or anything like that. I mean intensity of flavor. And that might require a higher ABV, might require a little more extraction from the barrels, but if you went heavy extraction, a more age, would they lose those unique honey notes? I don't know. So what am I going to give this as a score? I'm going to go a solid 80. I'm going to go flavor profile. I like it. I'm going to go 88. Intensity of flavor is where you lose me. So I'm going to go 87. And that's kind of a bummer. Quality price ratio, that's another issue. This is sort of all over the map, anywhere between around 40, I think it was a high 39 and some change, to around 40 to around $80 here in the United States. And so if you want to average it out, probably around 50 bucks. And that's kind of where, lose me, because there are a lot of very intense, more concentrated and developed flavors in other bourbons, and still under the $40 range. And so it's a nice whiskey. It's a unique whiskey. If you're having a bunch of friends over, they're definitely going to go for it. It's definitely a conversation starter in terms of the bottle. It's something you can, second purpose. I have another. This is something I brought back from Macallan, and so you can kind of see some of the similarities between these two. But this is a decanter, or this is an actual bottle. In fact, you might even refill this, maybe make an infinity bottle out of it, and so use it as a decanter as well. In fact, I have I have a wine decanter, which looks very, very, very similar. Of course, this has a bigger mouth into it, so it's more, directly intended to be a decanter, but you can kind of see the similarities in the shape there as well. Alrighty, so that's it for this review. If you subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, but you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking channels. Until next time, cheers. Hey, if you like my review, be sure to check out these other whiskey videos.